My dear first year BA and BSc students, here is the video for you. It is on the first poem, Returning. The poem Returning is written by A.K. Ramanujan. By birth, he was an Indian writer, but he spent the most part of his life in America. And also he wrote his poetry, large part of his poetry was written when he was in America. But in his writings, though he spent large part of his life in in other countries, but his writings are known for his Indianness. And writings of A.K. Ramanujan reflect the traditional Hindu experience, traditional Hindu upbringing, traditional Hindu lifestyle. And also, he was very much attracted by the vachanas of Kannada vachana writers like Basavana, Akkamadevi, and Allam Prabhu, Siddharama. All these vachanakaras wrote thousands of vachanas, and he translated them into English, and that was given a title called Speaking of Shiva, and that was the most sold out book in majority of the countries in the world. So such a great preserver of Indian culture, though he lived in America and he worked in America and he died in America, but he is the very important preserver and protector of Indian culture and Indian tradition. This A.K. Ramanujan was not only a poet, he was a folklorist. He translated a large number of folk tales in English language, and he was also a critic and also a translator. He also wrote some cultural accounts. He wrote some cultural history, and that's why he is also called cultural historian. So, as a versatile man of letters, A.K. Ramanujan is a well-known writer. Though he belonged to India, he lived in America and spent his large part of life in America, and he died there in America. He won the Pulitzer Prize and many other awards in America throughout his career. Such a poet has written this poem, Returning. So before we go to the text of the poem, let us first be clear about the title of the poem. See, the title is Returning. It has a symbolic meaning, and with that symbolic meaning, we can interpret the poem with two levels of meanings. That symbolic meaning of the title Returning is, it is returning to his native land. It means one thing. Returning to his native land, returning to his native culture, returning to his native society, returning to his native feelings. Psychologically, he wanted to become near to the native life and native relationship. it is one level of meaning with which we can read this poem. The another level of meaning is that returning, that the poem reads with its textual lines, that there is a person, there is a speaker who is in another land. As long as he lived in other land, he felt like going back. He felt like going back to his own culture, original culture, and psychologically, he was in the alienated state of mind. Psychologically, he was in alienated state of mind because though he lived in America, he never forgot the Indian culture and Indian faith and Indian religion and Indian social practices. Even by dress and his speech and his thinking and his writings, in all these we can see the apparent Indianness, and that's why he should have some alienation, feeling of alienation, and he should be suffering from some problem of alienation, and that's why psychologically he felt that he wanted to have his motherland back. And in American society, in another way we can understand, in American society, he couldn't see that anybody coming back home, they never search for their mothers. And that was not their culture. That is not their culture, but it is a culture of we, the people in India. Because whenever a child comes home, even a man of middle age or even a man of majority adult age, when he comes home, first he looks for his mother. If mother is not there immediately to be seen, he goes in search of her in room, in kitchen, in everywhere. So this is the feeling that he wanted to have in America, but there he never sees this kind of an experience, this kind of culture and this kind of practice there in America. And that is another level of meaning. ನಾವು ಎ ಕೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಏನಂದರೆ ಎ ಕೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜನ್ನು ಮೂಲವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದವನೇ. ಅವರು ಬಹುಪಾಲು ತಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನದ ಬಹುಪಾಲು ಅವಧಿಯನ್ನು ಫಾರಿನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೀತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ಬರೆದ ಬಹುಪಾಲು ಬರಹಗಳು, ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ರಿ, ಅವರು ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗಲೇ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂಥ ಅಂಶನ ನಾವು ಎ ಕೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಾಣ್ತೇವೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಅವರು ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದುಕೊಂಡು ಬಹುಪಾಲು ಜೀವನ ಕಳೆದು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಅವರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಬಳಸೋ ಶಬ್ದದಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು, ಅವರು ಬಳಸೋ ಲೈಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು, ಅವರು ಕೊಡೋ ಚಿತ್ರಣ, ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ನೆಸ್ದಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿವೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಭಾರತೀಯತೆ, ಭಾರತೀಯತನ ಅಂತ ಐತಲ್ಲ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ರೈಟರು ತುಂಬನೇ ಭಾರತದ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ನ ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸಾಕು. ಏನಂದರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ 12ನೇ ಶತಮಾನದ ಬಹುಪಾಲು ವಚನಕಾರರು ಏನು ಸಾವಿರಾರು ವಚನಗಳನ್ನ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಅವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವಚನಗಳನ್ನ ಎ ಕೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಶಿವ ಅಂತ ಟೈಟಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬೆಲೆಗೆ ಮಾರಾಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ ಈ ಪೊಯಮ್ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪೊಯಮನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿರೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ಇವರು ಬರೀ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ರಿ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಬರೀ ಪೊಯಮ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವರು ಒಬ್ಬ ಫೋಕ್ಲೋರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ. ಫೋಕ್ಲೋರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕತೆ, ಅಜ್ಜ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕತೆಗಾರ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಅನ್ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಕತೆಗಾರ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕತೆ, ಇವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇವರು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಫೋಕ್ಲೋರು ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ತುಂಬ ಆಸಕ್ತ ಓದುಗರು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಇವರೊಬ್ಬ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು, ಒಬ್ಬ ವಿಮರ್ಶಕ. ಬರೀ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಸೃಜನಾತ್ಮಕ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಮಾತ್ರ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವರೊಬ್ಬ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ಮತ್ತು ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೈನ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟರ್. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಇವರು ಬಳಸೋ ಭಾಷೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲ್ಯೂಸಿಡ್, ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ನು, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇವರು ತುಂಬ ಅಪೀಲಿಂಗ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇವರೊಬ್ಬ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟೋರಿಯನ್ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ದೇಶದ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡು, ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಇವರು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಯಾರ. ಇಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ ಈ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪೊಯಮನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಪೊಯೆಟಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಾಕು. ಇನ್ನು ಈ ಪೊಯಮ್ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಟೈಟ್ಲ್ ಐತಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಪೊಯಮನ್ನು ಓದೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈ ಪೊಯಮಿನ ಟೈಟ್ಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ನೋಡಿರಿ, ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಈ ಪೊಯಮನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಾಲುಗಳನ್ನ ಓದ್ಕೊಂತ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ, ಅಲ್ಲೊಬ್ಬ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಅವನು ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಮನೆಗೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಹಾಕಾನೆ, ಬಂದು ಅವ್ರ ತಾಯಿನ ಹುಡುಕಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಅವ್ರ ತಾಯಿ ಸಿಗೋದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಒಣೆಗೆ ಹುಡುಕಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಕೂಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಮಾಂತ ಕೂಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲೂ ಅವಳು ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇದ್ದಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಒಂದು ರಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಕೈತಿ. ಓ, ನಾನು 61 ವರ್ಷದಾನಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ರಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಕೈತಿ. ಓ, ನಾನು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ 40 ವರ್ಷ ತಾಯಿ ಇಲ್ದಂಗೆ ಬದುಕಿದ್ದೇನಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ರಿಯಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಕೈತಿ. ಇದು ಈ ಪೊಯಮಿನ ಈ ಸಾಲುಗಳಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಮೀನಿಂಗು. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬರೀ ಹಿಯರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಈ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ದಲ್ಲ, ಇವನು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬರೋದು, ಬಂದು ಅವ್ರ ತಾಯಿನ ಹುಡುಕಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಇದು. ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಇದು ಏನು, ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಇದು ಇನ್ನು ಏನೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೈತಿ ನೋಡಿರಿ. ಏನೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೈತಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಒನ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗು ನಾನೇನೀಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಲಿಟ್ರಲ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗು, ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಚುವಲ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ, ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವನ್ನ ಹುಡುಕಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಮೊದಲು ರೂಮ್ನೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಿಚನ್ನೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹಿತ್ತಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಮ್ಮವ್ವ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋದ್ಲು ಅಂತ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಓಡಿ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಓಣ್ಯಾಗ ಸಿಕ್ಕವ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂತ ನಮ್ಮವ್ವನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂತ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರು ಅವ್ರವ್ವ ಸಿಗಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಮ್ಮವ್ವ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ಲು ಅಂತ ಅಮಾಂತ ಕೂಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಗಿ ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ಇದ್ದಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಫ್ಲ್ಯಾಶ್ ಆಕೈತಿ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೂಗಾಕತ್ತಿ ನಮ್ಮವ್ವ ಇಲ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾನು ಬದುಕಾಕತ್ತಿ 40 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗೈತಿ, ನನಗೀಗ 61 ವರ್ಷ ಅದ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೂಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಈ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ. ಅವನು ಒಂದು ಭ್ರಮಾಲೋಕದಿಂದ ರಿಯಾಲಿಟಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇರೋದು ಅದ್ರಾಗ. ಆದರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಓದ್ಬೋದು? ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೀಸ್ ಮದರ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೀಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೀಸ್ ಮದರ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವನು ಹೋಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ವರ್ಷ ಆಗೈತಲ್ಲ, ಅವನು ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ತನ್ನ ಮದರ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಂದಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ತಾಯಿ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಾನೆ. ತಾಯಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮದರ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಿನ ಕಲ್ಚರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಯ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್ಪು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಯ ಫೀಲಿಂಗು, ಇಲ್ಲಿಯ ಏನೋ ಒಬ್ರಿಗೊಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನೋ ಪ್ರೀತಿ, ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ, ಲವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ನು, ಅಫಿನಿಟಿ, ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಮೆಂಟು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಅದಾವಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಅವನ ತಾಯಿನಾಡು ಅಂತ ಕರೆಯೋದು. ಅವನು ಅವಾಗ ಹೋದಾಗಿದ್ವು, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನು ಹೋದಾಗ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ವು, ತಾಯಿಯ ಒಂದು ರೂಪದಾಗ ಇದ್ವು. ಆದರೆ ಅವನು ಹಲವಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ನಂತರ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ, ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಹಾಕೋನಲ್ಲ, ಅವ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ ಇವ್ಯಾವೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ತಾಯಿ ಅನ್ನೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ವೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಏನಂತ, ಹೌದಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷಗಳು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಂದೆ, ಈ ತಾಯಿ ಅನ್ನೋಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಭಾಳ ವರ್ಷ ಆತಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತದೆ ಬಿಡು ಅಂತಾನೆ. ಇದು ಒಂದು ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರಿಟರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಏನಂದರೆ, ಮದರ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡಿಗೆ ಅವನು ಬಂದ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಅವನು ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವಾಗ, ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಹಿ ವಾಸ್ ಇನ್ ಅಮೇರಿಕಾ, ದ ಪೊಯೆಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ದ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್. ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿನದ ಅವನ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ವಾಸ್ ಹಾಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅವನ್ನ ಹಾಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಅವನ್ನ ಚುಚ್ಚುತ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಅವನನ್ನು ನೋವು ಕೊಡ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಏನದು ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ದೂರ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟೆ, ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನವರು ಅನ್ನೋರು ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಒಂಟಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟೆ, ನಾನು ಪರದೇಶಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್. ನನಗೆ ಯಾರು ಭಾವನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಆ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಾಡಕತ್ತಿರ ಅದೊಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇವನು ಮೆಂಟಲಿ ಹೀ ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. ಅವನ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಈ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಬಹುಶಃ ಅವನನ್ನು ಕಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಏಲಿಯನೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ತಲ್ಲೀಲನಾಗಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದ ಅಂದರೆ, ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸಾರಿ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವನು ನೆನಪಾರಿ ತಾಯಿ ಹುಡುಕ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಆ ಥರ ಭ್ರಮೆಗೊಳಗಾಗಿಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ದ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗನ್ನು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ living in America where there is no attachment between mother and son or mother and children as it is there in India, and that he expected and that he wants to have it, and he has lost it forever because he has gone to America so many years back, so many decades back, and still he is suffering from that alienation problem, that losing his mother and his relatives, kids and kins and attachment and love and affection and affinity. All this he has lost in that society, and that's why he is feeling that I have nothing, I have nobody as my people, as my person, as my mother, as my brother or my son. Like that, he didn't have this kind of relationship there, and that's why he was being haunted by the problem of alienation, and for that reason he used to have this kind of mental hallucination or psychological whim in many of his days. He has got that kind of experience, and this is how we can also interpret this poem. Now let us move on to the text of the poem. I go on reading this poem and explaining each and every line, and I think I need not explain each and every line here because all the lines are written in the language that can be very well understood by even a high school student. So such an easiest kind of language is used by the poet in this poem, and that's why it's not at all a difficult one for you to understand, and that's why I go on reading these lines and explain. See, here there are only 3 stanzas. The first stanza having just 4 lines. Returning home one blazing afternoon, he looked for his mother everywhere. See, the lines are very simple, as I said, very, very simple language he has used. That's why I told even a high school student can understand these lines. Returning home one blazing afternoon. Blazing means it is a very hot conditioned sunlight was there, such a hot afternoon. Returning home one blazing afternoon. Here is the speaker in this poem. He returns home a day in the afternoon when there was hot sunlight, hot sun. Amidst that hot sun, he returns home so tired. And he looked for his mother everywhere. When he enters inside the house, he searches for his mother. How he searches? She wasn't in the kitchen, she wasn't in the backyard, she wasn't anywhere. As he enters inside the house, as he enters his home, he first goes inside the kitchen and tries to find, searches his mother, but she is not there in the kitchen. Then he moves on to another room and there he searches for his mother. Even there is also not his mother. And then he goes behind the house in the backyard, because sometimes mother used to do some work in the backyard and that's why he feels that she may be there, and he goes backside in the backyard and there also he couldn't find his mother. And he comes out of the house and looks all around and nowhere he finds his mother. So then what happens? In the backyard she was not anywhere, and she was not at all found anywhere, either inside the house, outside the house, or in the backyard of the house. He couldn't find his mother. Then in the second paragraph you see, he looked and looked, grew frantic. As he looked everywhere for his mother, he couldn't find his mother. When he couldn't find his mother, he became emotionally, overwhelmingly emotional. He becomes overwhelmingly emotional. Then he looked and looked, grew frantic. He almost becomes mad, not finding his mother. Nowhere he could find his mother, and that's why he becomes something mad, overwhelmingly emotional. Where is my mother? He wants to see her first, and that's why he looks all around. Nowhere he finds. Looked even under the beds, where he found old shoes and dust balls, but not his mother. And also, he searches for his mother under the cot. Under the bed here means under the cot. He searches for his mother, he looks for his mother. But instead of his mother, he finds there the old shoes which are in the dust. And also, there some balls are thrown and they are also dust balls. They have become dust balls. But he couldn't find his mother there also. So instead of his mother, he could find shoes and dust balls under the bed or under the cot. What does it mean? The old shoes means we have thrown our useless shoes under the cot. We have thrown our useless balls under the cot. Means even useless balls and useless shoes are also preserved there under the cot. But my mother who has given me birth, we have not kept her with us. We have just thrown her away. She is nowhere inside the house. We have thrown her away. And that is what we have to understand with these shoes and dust balls. Old shoes and dust balls, but not his mother. He could find only old shoes and dust balls, but he could not find his mother. He ran out of the house shouting, and then he could not tolerate that he did not find his mother, so he could not tolerate. He became overwhelmingly emotional, and he just ran out of the house and throughout the street he looked for his mother everywhere, and he asked whoever comes in front of him, where is his mother? But nobody helped him to find his mother. That's why he started to shout in the street, "Amma, Amma," like that. Then what happens? Let's move on to the third stanza. Where are you? I'm home. I'm hungry. Amma, I'm hungry. I have come home, but I am not finding you inside. Where are you, Amma? Like that he is shouting and shouting in the street. But there was no answer. But he is shouting and shouting, but nowhere is his mother, and that's why he couldn't get any answer from his mother. He couldn't listen, he couldn't hear his mother's voice. But there was no answer, not even an echo. As he shouted and shouted, Amma, Amma, as to react to his shouting, no other voice came to him. In the deserted street, blazing with sunshine. See, here he names that street as deserted street. What does it mean? Deserted street means it is a street in American society. Means street in American society is callous. Street is callous means without any feelings, without any humanity, without any human relationship, without any love and affection, without any concern, without any affinity. It means that is deserted street. Deserted street means here street having no human relationship, street having no kiths and kins, street having no affinity, no love and affection, so no humanity. All these are not at all there in the society of America, and that's why he finds that streets as deserted street, blazing with sunshine, but only the hot and burning sunlight is there. Not humanity, not love and affection, no affinity, and no mother's affection, love is there, but only the burning hot sun is there. Suddenly, he remembered. Like that, he went on through the street shouting, Amma, Amma, for a long distance. And after a long distance of his movement in the street, shouting, Amma, Amma, suddenly he remembered he was now 61. Suddenly he remembered, he realized, why I am shouting like this, I am now 61. And he hadn't had a mother for 40 years. He remembered another reality, that he had not had his mother for 40 years already. Means he was living for 40 years without mother. Means 40 years back his mother was no more. Or it may be understood 40 years back he had left his motherland country, his country India. And then he realized that, and he went back home. So this is the beautiful poem by A.K. Ramanujan, which can be understood in three levels of meanings. One, the literal meaning. Another, returning is returning to his motherland. Another is returning to the culture of India, culture of Indian upbringing in his childhood. That he wanted to have it, though he was in America, he wanted to have it, but he couldn't. And that is also one of the interpretations. I think you could understand this. Let me explain it in Kannada in the next video. Okay, I will give you another video. There I will explain it in Kannada, and also I will tell you how to write the annotations and how to explain or elaborate the summary of this poem. There I will discuss on that. Here, this much is enough. Thank you. Thank you.